welcome to What Am I Rolling, a twice-monthly RPG one-shot podcast, hosted by me, Fiona. This week, I'm joined by my friends Evelyn and Lucy for Fate Accelerated, an RPG based on the Fudge gaming system published by Evil Hat Productions. Fate Accelerated, or FAE, is a condensed, streamlined version of the popular Fate core system, developed by game designers Clark Valentine, Leonard Becerra, Fred Hicks, Mike Olson, and Amanda Valentine. FAE brings all the flexibility and power of the Fate core system in an easy, digestible, and quickly read package, perfect for first-time players. As FAE has no fixed campaign setting or genre, it allows the game master and the players to set up and create stories in any setting they choose, whether it is a world based on their favourite book, film, or TV show, or even a world of their own creation. If you want to find out more about the Fate Accelerated system and download a ton of additional FAE resources, check out the Fate downloads page on the Evil Hat Productions website. That's www.evilhat.com/home/fate, FATE-core-downloads. Whilst FAE resources are freely available under an open gaming license and a Creative Commons 3.0 license, Evil Hat Productions does have a pay-what-you-want option. So if you want to own your own copy, do consider giving some money towards it. I'll put a link to it on the What Am I Rolling website and in this episode's show notes. So here's an incredibly brief overview about how FAE works. In FAE, players use six-sided fate dice, which, instead of numbers, have plus and minus symbols on them. When a player attempts an action, they will start with a skill number assigned from one of their approaches, and then use fate dice to add or subtract from that number to get a total. This total is then compared to the ladder, a table of adjectives and numbers which determines a character's approach, or the outcome of a roll, or difficulty ratings for simple checks, and so on. This ladder ranges from terrible, -2, to legendary, which is a +8. Basically, the higher the result a player gets, the more likely they are to succeed on an action. One of the central concepts of FAE is aspects. Aspects are phrases or tags which describe something noteworthy or important about whatever it is they're attached to. These can be things like a personality quirk of an NPC, the weather conditions of a location, a motto a player's character lives by. Literally anything you can think of can be an aspect or have aspects attached to it. Aspects allow players to change the story in ways which ties in with their character's tendencies, skills or problems, as well as establish facts about the scene or general setting. Each character will have a couple of aspects, including a high concept, a phrase which neatly summarises who that character is, and a trouble, something which always gets that character into trouble. Once a character's aspects have been decided, the player will then assign bonuses for their character's approaches. Approaches are descriptions about how the character accomplishes tasks, and in FAE, everyone has the same 6 approaches. They are careful, clever, flashy, forceful, quick, and sneaky. Each approach is rated with a bonus. Players must assign 1 good bonus, which is a +3, 2 fair bonuses, +2, 2 average bonuses, +1, and 1 mediocre bonus, +0. Players also get to choose a stunt, which is a special trait that changes the way an approach works for their character. In short, stunts give characters almost always +2 to a certain approach when used with a particular action under a specific circumstance. As I said earlier, aspects are phrases which describe a character or scene and modify the roles. On the whole, aspects are controlled by the players except in situations where the game master uses them in a compel. A game master will compel an aspect to complicate things for the players in the story. If a compel is accepted, this earns the player a fate point. Fate points can be spent to re-roll dice, add bonuses, refuse a compel from the game master, and a number of other things. In short, they're very useful to have around. I don't want to get too bogged down in how to play FAE, as I couldn't do it justice in the time we have. If you want to learn more about the system and run your own FAE campaign, you can download a ton of additional FAE resources. Check out the downloads page on the Evil Hat Productions website. That's www.evilhat.com/home/fate, FATE-core-downloads. Again, whilst FAE resources are freely available under the Open Gaming License and a Creative Commons 3.0 license, there is a pay-what-you-want option, so do consider giving some money. One last thing before we begin. Naturally, there are times in this one-shot where the players and myself mostly myself, get the rules wrong or forget something plot-wise, or even say forget to use aspects towards the end of the one-shot. Whilst we always endeavour to stick to the rules wherever possible, at the end of the day, we all make mistakes, and what matters most is that everyone enjoys themselves. And with all that out of the way, let's begin our story. So with Fate, when we start off with our characters, there's these things called aspects, and aspects are like character aspects, so it's something that defines you, and you have a trouble aspect, which is your weakness, and then some other aspects which we can make up on the spot. So why don't we go with you first, Evelyn? So what's your character idea that we can put together?
Okay, so her normal day-to-day name is Kindred Williams.
Kindred Williams,
and from that...
I was going to be called somebody Williams.
Ooh.
Really? Like, it's not my thing, but that's fine. You got it first.
And so from that, I thought that her nickname would be Dread, and then so I thought of sort of dreading things, and I thought that her power could be that she is able to see essentially the butterfly effect of any different decision that she's about to make.
Mm-hmm. That's a cool power.
Essentially, it would be really cool because she could just choose what to do that would give the best outcome for her in life.
Mm-hmm.
However, the sheer volume of decisions gives her insane anxiety, and so she ends up either like just picking completely the wrong one or just being frozen with
overwhelmed with it.
Hence the dread. So yeah, I thought that we could do that, but then I don't know how it would work out in terms of gameplay.
That sounds really good. So in terms of the butterfly effect, then is it something that she can foresee within the next 2 minutes or something like that, or is it like longer term than that, or is it like it's like instant decisions? So like if she's going to get a Starbucks or something like that, and it's like
yeah, I think it would be fairly instantaneous. So if you took the Starbucks example, she'd be there like, okay, if I get this strawberry milkshake, then I'm like, I'll turn around and somebody next to me will say, oh, I love those, and we'll have a great conversation. But she's just so overwhelmed by the fact that maybe if she gets a coffee, she'll spill it on somebody, or like if she gets something else will happen. So if she ends up going like, ugh, coffee, and she knows she's going to spill it on somebody, but she can't. Yeah. You just can't help it.
So it's not so like you foresee the end of the world and not how to get it. It's like it's maybe not big decisions, but it's like stuff that's literally about to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like that. So what you can do then for your high concept, which is sort of summarising your character in one, is that you foresee the outcomes of your next decision within like the next 5 minutes, we'll say.
Okay.
So that will be your sort of superpower. And then your trouble, which is sort of your weakness element of it, would be that the choice of consequences gives you crippling anxiety, and you might be undecided what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Lucy, what's your ideas then? For your
okay, so inspired by playing Injustice last night, I was like, I want my character was going to be called Bethany Williams, but now she'll be called Bethany something else.
So we can get to names later. That's fine.
And she has an adaptation of like sonic boom abilities, but unfortunately is allergic to every kind of tree on the planet, or at least enough to last the whole year round. So has awful ongoing hay fever and spends her life sonic sneezing rather than sonic booming. She gained this power by trying to buy weed in an online chat room, exciting sounding strain called Sonic Boom, but then it turned out to be a cultist ritual, and she was much too socially awkward to do anything and just went along with it.
Yeah.
So she is defined by her she has strong performance anxiety of being asked to boom on like if somebody asks her to boom, then it will never happen, but she'll just sneeze her way through a wall another time. So her life is defined by being socially too awkward to speak up.
Excellent. Okay, so I like the idea of having like the awkward, like inappropriate moments when you use power activates. So again, so your high concept is having this sonic ability, but your sort of trouble is that it just happens when because of this hay fever and allergies. So if you write that down in your top
yours
two
is
there.
better, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
I'd say for now you could come up with one other aspect. So the aspects you'll have at least 5, but when we're starting off, it's good to have your high concept and your trouble, and then maybe one more, and then as we go along, you might want to add another one during the session, because you've talked about like your origin story. and that you've got some sort of social anxiety. But is there anything like, maybe do you have an arch nemesis in the superhero world yet?
Maybe my origin story could sort of meld with yours, and like I was thinking where's a place that you have to make a decision of where there's loads of different things, and I thought about in Baskin Robbins there's 31 flavours of ice cream. So maybe I was like in the ice cream shop and I was sort of like prevaricating over the flavours, and like just generally always had an issue with being able to choose. And then, like, I don't know, maybe you came in wanting some ice cream and Sonic sneezed.
And you both realised, my God.
And I was like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. And
yes, there you go. So I guess you guys could have, if you write it down, sort of like the bonding sort of relationship of Baskin and Robbins, or something like that. Interesting. The next thing is your name and what you look like. So we'll go with you first, Evelyn. So you said it was Williams was your last name.
Yeah. I didn't really picture her as anything sort of more than just as like an extension of my character. So I thought maybe she would be like slighter, so like quite small and slight, sort of wants to shrink back from the world and therefore like makes herself as small as possible.
Yeah.
And doesn't try too much to stand out for fear of somebody calling on her to ask her.
So she sort of looks like you as you are now, but shorter, taller?
So I guess like short and slight, probably a bit more towards like tan, maybe she has some different ethnic mix, and then sort of bright eyes to do with sort of future seeing. I guess that's a standard trope, but so while she tries to shrink back, she's actually quite unique looking with the contrast of her slightly darker skin with her light eyes, and so she tries not to stand out.
I think that works quite well. Yeah, so someone that you wouldn't stand out necessarily from the crowd, but then you meet eyes with someone and they notice like some, I don't know, like bright clear irises, and it gets their attention.
Yeah.
So. And what was your full name again? So,
Kindred Williams.
And then AKA Dread.
Yeah.
What about you, Lucy?
I was going to be a female, but beyond that, the only thing visually would be the constant like streaming red nose, like a nickname of being like Rudolph or something. That would be the constant thing. I think that she would maybe try and dress as boring and not obviously as possible to escape any and all awkward occasions such as Baskin Robbins when they would occur.
So I like the idea of you having like quite long sleeves but then lots of tissues.
Lots of tissues and like running or constantly being asked if you're okay because you look like you're crying, like that is her life. So she is just tired of she dreads every interaction because she's sure that it's going to go negatively in some way, and so would rather just not bother, which is how she got the powers in the first place, was by not saying, I thought that I was here for something else and something weird is going on. So just
nice. What would you say is your in real life name then?
Oh God. Well, if it's not Bethany Williams, it will be Bethany Rostron.
That's fine. And what would you say is your superhero name then?
Oh, I worked this out.
Yeah.
My superhero name is, but let me check because I can't remember what it was. I was doing a pun on Black Canary on the basis that... Where is it? Here. Okay, so I was going to go for a purple thrush on the basis that thrushes are the most boring common bird in the entirety of Britain. Yeah. And that she...
Or a particularly bad yeast infection.
That's a great alternative. So, it can just be,
Purple thrush and dread. I like it.
Purple thrush.
Perfect. No, that's absolutely great. Okay, so now we do something called choosing your approaches. So you see it on your sheet here. You've got 6 of them. So that's careful, clever, flashy, forceful, quick and sneaky. Your highest one will be a +3. And then you'll have 2 at fair, which is +2, 2 at average, which is +1, and then 1 at mediocre, which is +0. This is how you define your stats. So would you say that, are you a careful kind of character? Are you clever? So you should have an idea because you've had a bit of a think about what you are. So.
Right.
So have a talk through. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I would say that Dread would definitely put her highest as sneaky, just because she's so used to trying to shrink back into the background so she doesn't have to make a decision, whereas I assume that Beth wouldn't be very good at sneaking around because she just sneezes.
Sneezes inappropriately. Alright, so that would be a +3 for sneaky for you.
Well, that would be one of my lowest.
So do you want to go for a 0 then?
Yeah,
mediocre?
0 is sneaky. But I would say, don't think I'm very clever either. I think that might be my other 0.
No, you've only got 1 0. So
I've only got 1 0. So is clever 1 then?
So you can have. So yeah, you've got your 1 good is a +3. So you've got 2 fair, which is +2, and then 2 average would be +1. So if you want to be like just +1 clever, that's fine as well.
Yeah, I'm not the brightest spark.
Okay. What about you, Evelyn?
I would say that given that Dread has like a cognitive ability in terms of future seeing, I would imagine that it would follow that she would be at least fairly clever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that would be a +2 for you then. Yep.
But also quite careful, I guess. Like, I don't feel like she's flashy or forceful or like, and quick would really like not play into her prevaricating nature. So I guess careful would be the other one that she would be.
Whereas I think I wouldn't be careful. I feel like Beth is the kind of person to always be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, right.
Kind of thing.
So so that'd be. So you've used up 2 of your average ones. Yeah. So in terms of you were saying before you weren't sure about like being quick. I'm just reading them here. So careful is like you're paying close attention to detail to do your job right. So it could be like aiming something or standing watch, taking perception or disarming something. So it could be anything. These are very generic sort of things. Clever, obviously, to think fast, solve problems, account for complex variables. Flashy is to draw attention to you. It's full of style and panache. Forceful isn't subtle. It's sort of brute strength in a way, or it's something like you do it with power. Quick is obviously requires you to move quickly and with dexterity, so like dodging, getting the first punch in, disarming a bomb that's ticking down.
Okay.
And sneaky is an emphasis on misdirection or stealth or deceit.
So I'm going to put a 0 as flashy because I just don't think she'd be very good at that. But then I've got 2 +1s left, right? So it's forceful and quick would be my
excellent
+1s.
All right, and what about you, Lucy?
Trying to think which one is going to be.
I'd say because your sonic sneezing, because it's unexpected, but it's such a force.
I think that's the same way.
Your +3, I think.
My biggest will be that.
And then
the others
+2. Yeah, because I think flashy again would be like. It would be very it draws attention
grabbing, but I think she would subsequently be quick to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's actually quite nice because then Dread and Beth play off one another. They complement each other quite nicely.
There's a thing called a stunt, which you've got a box for there. We don't have to decide them now, but it's basically it's something that only you can do in a particular situation. It would add a modifier to your thing. So, for example, let me see what I've got on here. There's sort of tricks, manoeuvres and techniques for your character that has changed in how it works for them. So you could say, because I am a smooth talker, I get +2 when I sneakily create some advantage when I'm talking to someone. So it'll be stuff like that.
Okay.
So you could either say, like, because of this, I get XYZ, and then the other kind is that because I am well connected, once per game session, I can find an ally within the session. So we can leave that till I can suggest stuff whilst we're playing. But it's something to keep in mind that you'll have one. So I'll go through it when we're doing it, but it's just to let you know.
Yeah, I would imagine that there's probably sort of kindred, although she wouldn't actively approach people, she's probably helped people out in certain situations, like because she can see the butterfly effect. I assume she can see it for herself and for others that are about to do things. She could probably give people a nudge in the right direction, like because it's overwhelming for herself, but it's probably easier for her to be like, okay, if you do this will happen. If you do that will happen. So it will probably help her. It'll probably have people sort of in her favour, in that like, oh yeah, that one time you told me not to buy that egg dish because you knew that the bottom was going to fall out, and then it fell out onto someone else, and I had an interview that day, so like, thank you.
So because of the butterfly effect, once per game session I can help an ally prevent something and add +2 to their roll.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So so put that down then.
So how much? +2?
Yeah, I'd say +2. Everything's usually about +2 in this.
Okay, I was thinking that the spontaneous sonic sneezing might occasionally actually be like an intimidation thing, that occasionally it works out in Beth's favour, that somebody's like, you're a bit of a wild card, and let's sort this out before you sonic boom and destroy my whole shop. And she's like, I will only leave if you do this thing. And then so that yeah. So I feel very new to this.
No, that's fine. So because I use my sonic boom, I'll get a +2 whenever I flashily create an advantage when we're about to attack, I guess, or about to I'm about to do a distraction, I guess. So, yeah, I'll go into what advantages and stuff mean in a second. But in this game, in Fate, you can use your stunt 3 times for free. Apart from yours, because in this session it's once per session.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
if you're using it for the 4th time, you have to spend what we call a fate point to use it. What's good with fate points is that there'll be certain aspects we'll draw up with the situations and stuff, and you want to invoke them, which means you'll use them to add something to your role. But in order to do that, depending on what kind of aspect of it is, you might need to pay a fate point for that.
Okay.
Alternatively, I might say, okay, there is a battle going on, or something's happened, and I'm going to compel an aspect on you. For example, you might have fallen from a great height and you twisted your ankle. So I will write that out and I say, I'm compelling you to take this aspect. And if you take it, you'll get a fate point with it. If you don't take it, you have to pay me a fate point. So it adds to your difficulty in a way, but that's how you get fate points back.
Okay.
And a lot of fate, it's not like I go into the room, what do I see? It's more me asking you questions about what do you see.
Okay.
And then that's how we create sort of aspects. But feel free to make up stuff.
Yeah.
If it's something that's deliberately like, Alice was, and there's a giant robot, so I'll be like, no. but I think you guys will be sort of sensible. So if I ask you, like, so what does this person look like? Or who's your best friend in here? Or who's your, that sort of questions, you can come up with stuff and I can write it down and then we'll use it as we go on. You are superheroes and you currently have jobs at the London Superhero Bureau, or LSB, in central London. How you got the jobs we'll go into in a second, but due to the nature of your powers, you are not the A-team. You are not superheroes that are sent out into the field regularly. You, if anything, you're sort of reserve standby, but you come into the office anyway and you hot desk and you sort of do whatever roles you have been assigned to. For the first question, what do you guys do at the LSB?
Oh, I actually know this one. So Dredd is a superhero coordinator. Yeah. Much like a flight coordinator, she wears a headset, and when they get reports of like trouble going on, she's the one who coordinates which superhero should go where. Sometimes she gets in trouble though because she's a bit worked up by what should be happening, and maybe she sends the wrong hero to the wrong place, but I think she got the job through some family connection, and as such she's pretty much unfireable, even though she's not great at what she does. And yeah, I mean, they thought that her powers would lend themselves to the coordination role, but as it turns out, she's pretty rubbish.
I guess it would still be 50-50, like, because you can predict stuff and you're like, there's a giant fire there, maybe I'll send the superheroes with water, and then it's something else because of that small change.
I think because it's not her, then she's better at it than she would be if it was like she was trying to dispatch herself. But I think if there's a few too many calls coming in, like, she might get a little bit overwhelmed with
the sort of priority of what's most urgent and stuff.
Yeah.
What about you, Lucy?
Okay, so Beth is like a paralegal in the organisation, so she compiles reports on like structural damage or upsets or all of the things that go wrong because superheroes have done a thing. Like, they're like, Superman saved the day, but 5,000 people were stuck on the M25 and didn't get home for 3 hours on their Friday afternoon on Easter weekend because of the... So she's not as senior as like actually interacting with the proper like media outlet. She's never her face is never seen. She always wants to avoid actually doing the thing, but she's very happy to work just from desk or at home and be on the phone because then she can mute and have a sneeze in the other direction. So she enjoys her job but has no current aspirations to progress because she doesn't think she can do the job above any better and likes the one that she does.
Brilliant. I like the idea that you've got your own cubicle, but it's like another row of people, but you've got your own sonic boom, so it's contained.
So it's like every time she wants to sneeze, she turns specifically to the one side so that it doesn't break anything. and then there'll be like a peak time of the year when there's another type of pollen, and that's when she'll take her annual leave and not be in work or something.
Or go out to sort of this countryside and you see it.
Or go to Antarctica where there is no pollen. Like, enjoys holidaying in cool
penguins
climates.
Are just
So yes.
Excellent. No, I like that a lot. So describe like a typical day for you guys. Describe a typical Wednesday.
So Dred has her like classic route to work, which she doesn't deviate from, so that she doesn't have to make any decisions. She always goes to platform 10. She always gets one specific train to one specific place. If she gets coffee in the morning, she knows her order and she doesn't deviate from it. Even sometimes she gets a little bit of panic because, you know, there might be like a new honey blossom frappuccino that looks really good, but she's just worried about the consequences. So she always gets the same order every time and tries to just not deviate from her path as much as possible so that she isn't put in a position where she has to make any choices. And she gets in. I think she's fairly quiet. I don't think she's disliked at all. I think she sort of keeps a low profile in the office because even talking to people, she's like, what if somebody asked me about my weekend? And I know that if I say that I watched this particular Netflix show, then they'll really like it and want to talk to me about it. But actually, like, they really hate politics, and I'll accidentally tell them that I voted for Trump over the weekend, like, even though I didn't.
Yeah.
So, I think she keeps a fairly low profile and just keeps herself to herself. But I think probably I would like to think that she and Beth are friends, and they like to keep a low profile together. So Beth's not like
I think that makes
sonic
sense.
sneezing on people at lunch. Like, they have their own spot.
Yeah.
She tries to keep it low key. And she has it.
That makes sense. And so you sort of get in always at the same time, like 8 to 9 or 8:45, and then you just go to the thing. You're probably the only person sort of in charge of the superheroes, and maybe get one or two sort of assistants, maybe people that don't have superpowers, but they always has to have someone with a superhero tendency to be in the not higher roles, but in charge of something. So that's why you are there. Do you have this? But you might have one or two assistants who just come and help. You know, you don't talk to them, or you're not friendly with them per se. What about you?
So Beth is always going to leave for work really, really early, so that if she needs to be like on the tube or in the car, that it's not busy, doesn't want to be around lots of other people, because then you can have an unfortunate incident. But I think relatively similar in that I don't think really socialises much outside the department. Very much has like a safe space, a comfort zone of like good at the job, likes the job, has a couple of good network people, but has no interest in really making a big attention and getting other parts of the business. She doesn't want to change job, and like she has a friend who she has lunch with and is very happy with, and is so generally has meetings with the same people all the time, is never really interacting with anyone very new.
Okay, good. No, I like that. So in terms of the actual prime superheroes, what would you say is the most, maybe not annoying thing, but what's the most noticeable thing you know about these primary superheroes? So I'm talking about people who have like X-ray vision, can shoot jets out of water or fire, you know, the proper like haha kind of ones. What do you guys think about them?
Well, because Beth works in legal, she thinks that they are highly inconsiderate people who do not take account of all of the reports she writes advising that it would be really good to cut their costs from 200 million down to a much more reasonable 100 million to meet their budgeting figures. And if only Superman didn't feel the need to showboat and throw the enemy robot why couldn't he throw him into the sea rather than into the skyscraper? That would really make her life easier. So Beth very much is coming from a position of resentment, and I think she's had in her younger years people point out to her that if it wasn't for her hay fever, she might have a cool power. Right. That has been said, but she can't do anything about it. She has tried, so she really, I think she has quite a lot of resentment, but doesn't ever actually speak to them in person. It's always like over email or on a conference call. So she never really sees the real them. She just deals with their shit.
What about you then?
Yeah, I think Dred also agrees with this sort of view of them, sort of a condescending view of like, she sort of sees them as dude bros who like, she'll call them up and like Superman will have been out drinking late last night, and she'll be like, okay, you've got to go to this fire on such and such a place, and they're like, oh, can't you send waterboy instead? And she'll be like, no, you're the best person for the job and I know it, and they'll be really annoying. And then when they do finally get to the job, like much in the same vein as Beth's annoyance, she's like, well, they could have saved so much time and so much collateral damage by doing it this way, because I saw that could be done. Like, I don't know if she was watching the news footage or whatever, and she just gets annoyed that, you know, she does give them any hints or tips, they ignore her because she's just a superhero coordinator and not.
Yeah, you're not.
Like,
one of the
big ones.
Yeah.
Even though she knows that her power could be so useful, that she just can't enact it herself.
Okay, so then I'd say for both of you, then maybe an aspect is that you do have some sort of, not grudge, but you are, what's the word you used? You said
resentment.
Yeah, you have a little bit of resentment towards the prime superheroes. All over the media, one of the prime superheroes, after capturing a villain, was caught saying some unsavoury commenting and like inappropriate behaviour towards things.
They're like children.
Yeah, it was really horrible. You know, it was sexist, it was all sorts of things off the scale. So HR had brought in all the main superheroes to do compulsory sensitivity training on the 6th floor, and you would have got it from sort of the head of HR, who's called a person called Jacques, and Jacques is like, I cannot believe this bloody ace. He just says these things and he does not think he's a stupid person, but I have to bring them in for this. Unfortunately, all the prime superheroes we need, and the only people we have left in the office is you and Kindred. Can you man the desks and sort of be in reserve in case anything happens? It's a Wednesday, it won't be anything too big. He does say that there's always like a team of 3 people that gets sent out that you should know about, and there's only 2 of you in the office. He said, I can get one of these people who has done the sensitivity training to come with you if you need to, but there shouldn't be any need to. Would you be willing to be the reserves on this?
Kindred's currently breathing into a paper bag at the thought all of the things that could possibly go wrong in this situation.
You are very overwhelmed by this email.
Yeah, she's not too sure, but she equally doesn't know if, like, she would tolerate a superhero. Like, if they were to be called out, she doesn't know how well she would tolerate being with one of the prime guys.
What do you think?
Because Beth isn't the brightest spark, she decides to trust Jack just because they're more senior than her and they've been around, they know these people, and she literally just focuses and tells herself that nothing will happen and nothing will come of it, and reassures herself she can write it on her CV that she was in reserve, that she doesn't have to do anything, and she just keeps telling herself that and is completely shutting down her brain to the option that there is any way that she'll actually have to do anything. Because that's what Jacques has told her.
Yes.
She's like, I like that reality.
Excellent. Wednesday, and you sort of both meet in the sort of, I'd say, the lobby area. It's one of those, the LSB, you can imagine it's typical superhero stuff. There's like golden letters like LSB, it's beautiful white marble circular room, and there is like a front desk where you would sit, but stupidly the superhero phone is in the middle on a pedestal, nowhere near the desk. So you both, I guess, sort of sit there. There's like lifts to the other floors and stuff like that. Are you guys doing anything in the meantime? I'd say it's just gone 9 just now.
I'd like to think that, like, Kindra's sort of watching a quiz show on TV, like, I don't know, The Cube or something, and just predicting, like, okay, yeah, so the real answer is million, but he's going to say Google. And then just, like, whenever that happens, Beth is just like, every time.
Yeah, I think that Beth would be feeling very overwhelmed at this point.
Right.
And so, because she ain't so smart and is out of comfort zone, is just following Kindred's lead a bit. And it's like, okay, so we're here and we're watching a show and nobody's telling us we're in trouble for watching a show, so we'll just sit and we'll watch the show. Everything's fine.
It's like the first half an hour, nothing really happens or anything. You get the lifts or the pings open, and a person steps out, and they're dressed very smartly, sort of combed back hair, and they come up and they're like, I assume this is the LSB, the London Superhero Bureau. I've got an appointment with Jacques Palmer, the HR here. They should be expecting me.
And Kindra's just like, shit, should I email him or should I call him? Or maybe I could just go to his office instead, and it's quite a lot of things to have to think about, but all of them seem to end up in the same
So you know that Jack is currently performing the sensitivity training on the 6th floor all day, and he said strictly no disturbances because how serious this thing is.
Being a bit more forceful, Beth is like, she's not the most like socially aware person in the universe, and it's just like, yeah, he's busy, and then Kendra's like, busy. But you just said that, and I feel like she wouldn't offer any options. She wouldn't be like, do you want me to go and get him or something? She'd just be like, no, he's busy today.
Running your nose a little bit.
She'd just be like, you don't have an appointment.
Well, on closer inspection, they are a woman, but again, very slick back hair, very sort of like androgynous look to them, and they go, oh, that's a shame, because I'm performing the review today about the headquarters. I'm sure you've seen on the news that after this whole outbreak with the social viral stuff with Ace, calling that poor villain a you-know-what, that the government has decreed to have a whole in-depth review of this institution, and that's why I'm here today. I'm here to do a review of this place.
Kindred's very nervous about this thing. She's like, and she decides that probably the best course of action is to stall her as much as possible.
Okay. So
she's like, can I, we have some drinks. If you want a drink and sit down, that'll be good. So we have a lot of options, actually.
A lot.
Coffee, there's orange juice or apple juice, pineapple, milk, there's some water, I think.
At this point, Beth interrupts and goes, Edward, can you do another day? And that will be her only contribution.
So I say with you, I'm going to compel you to do an aspect. So that's going to be you're on edge around this person. And if you take it, that's fine. I'll give you a fate point to spend later. If you don't take it, I'll ask for a fate point from you. So
yeah, I'll take it. I mean, she's pretty nervy anyway. So.
Yeah, that's fine. But you're on edge around this person, so you keep that for now.
Got it.
So this person is like, look, and shows you their badge, and their badge it says Associate Edith Brock from the Department of In-Depth Reviews of the Government. And they say, look, it's very important that we get this done. The government has declared this as a sort of in-house emergency. Like, we use superheroes to save the day around the capital and around the UK, and it's vital that we can trust you guys, and I need to do this in-depth review today. It needs to be done today.
Seeing as Kindred's on edge already, I think that would have the effect of sort of narrowing down her options to the point of where, like, she's just so nervous, she's like, okay, I'll do what she says. So she's like,
okay.
I'll show you around instead. It's fine.
I've actually not been sent to be around the institution, although I would like a tour maybe towards the end of the day. It's actually to go out into the field with superheroes, to go on missions and see how well they perform. Are you going on missions? And she starts writing down.
Beth immediately says, no.
A note of it. A note of it in the thing.
And Kendra's like, we're on standby. If the phone rings, then yes, that will be us. We would have to go.
Beth joins in and says, the phone won't ring.
As you say that, the phone rings in the centre of the thing. I need someone to roll me a 1d10.
Is this my D10?
Yep, that's your D10.
6.
That's 6. So it rings, and you all look round expectantly. You can foresee already picking up the phone that it's going to be a very panicky phone call with the manager of the local bank saying that they're undergoing an armed robbery right this second, and they need reinforcements from the LSB. And you can see this, like, yeah.
She just looks at Beth and she's like,
so I'm guessing that if that's what Kindred is doing, so Beth is like, reaches for the phone and Kindred is like, bad idea, then Beth stops reaching for the phone and they both just look at Edith.
Okay, ringing phone is going off as an aspect in the centre of the room. Okay, Edith is like, should one of you get that? It's not stopped ringing.
Edith has prompted me. I sort of like, yeah, and like she's like shakingly picks up the phone, it's like slipping out of her hands. They're so sweaty. She's like, hello, even though she knows what's about to be said.
So as you go, you can hear sort of in the background sort of gunshots, and it's like, hello, I need someone to come to the bank, and there's a robbery ongoing in progress. Please send you, and gets cut off.
Beth says to Edith, I'm sure it's nothing.
And then I sort of look at Edith and Kindra's just like, oh god.
You would be aware that Jack said if you ever needed any help, you can call in one of the primary superheroes from upstairs who have done the primary. And usually, as you know, you take 3 superheroes on training with you. It looks like Edith will come along and review you guys, or review the superheroes as you're doing this. So, what do you guys do?
Does she know sort of what options she has in terms of superhero? Can she like foresee any like better choice and perhaps roll to see how well she
Sure, I say then, in that case, make a sort of careful roll. You take all 4 dice, and then you get your name stat, which was, I think that was a +2. So you roll the dice, and that will be thing. I will say that this is, because you're on edge, it's going to be about a 4 difficulty, so you need to either tie with 4 or higher to succeed.
And the positives count for 1 and the negatives count for -.
Yeah, so they'll cancel each other out if needed. So you'll see. Okay, so you get a +1 in total there.
Oh, I got a
3, and it was a 4, so you fail. So currently, because you're on edge, you are like, oh my god, oh my god. So once you've rolled, you can then invoke one of your aspects that you got on here to add +2 to roll. And I think because of your concept of being able to, you work with superheroes, you know which one to take, you can use that. And to do that, you need to spend a fate point, and then you get +2 to your roll.
Okay, well...
Or you can re-roll the dice, it's one of those two.
Yeah, I just like, because if I add 2, then I
you would succeed anyway,
right?
Yeah.
And I'm already, like, I got the fate point from being on edge with you.
Yeah, so...
It's only fair, really.
Yeah, you pay that back. That's fine. So you can think of a couple of people that come to mind off the top of your head. Maybe people like, there's Metallica, who can turn anything into a solid metal at will, so they can like change the floor into like grabbing people and then holding them in place.
Okay.
There's a few people that can shoot out some elements from their hands, so like water, that would be sort of jet perhaps. There's Laser, who shoots lasers, Rhino, who's very strong, and Needle, who's someone who has like spikes.
Okay, so like from what Kindred knows about her superheroes, she reckons Metallica would be the best option, but I think she's quite used to getting input from Beth on most decisions,
absolutely.
just so that she can like be sure in her choice. So she's like, Beth, there's Jet, he's got water, and then Needles would be quite useful, but I think if we take Metallica, then she'd be good. Should we take her? Can you just say yeah?
Can you just say
Beth's
yes?
logic, because Beth doesn't know the individual superheroes very well, is solely going on how much of a bollocking she's going to get from her boss after this. So is very keen to avoid a laser person, because laser people always make much too much damage and trouble, and the lasers get out of place and then limbs keep falling off. So she's agrees with Dredd that actually like just changing the floor and holding on to the people, and that sounds like the most risk adverse way they could go in the immediate moment. Doesn't want any like drownings or fires or accidental deaths, so that's the entire basis of her.
So you want to call up Jacques or to go and try and get Metallica to come with you to this test. There is obviously an equipment locker here, and so is there anything you would like to take on this mission with you? Edith sort of said, I'll go whenever you're ready, and sort of sits down at a small bench and starts writing notes out.
Oh god, Kid is just sweating. She's like she goes like to the locker, like watching Edith, and like she's clearly just like completely and utterly frazzled by this whole experience. So she's like and then she just grabs like the most inopportune stuff. Like she picks up like, I don't know, something completely. So I'd say then like a life jacket.
I was going to say maybe roll for clever for me, and I'd say you're still on edge, so that will still increase your thing. So I'd still say it's 4 just now.
Okay, so I got 1 and then plus 2 for clever.
So 3. You can spend a fate point to get something, or I can tell you what you sort of find and what you pull out, and that can be used at some point.
Okay, let's see what does she get.
So there's lots of things that you think, oh, ropes, no, and there's like some random sort of weird things. There's like a bleepy thing you've never seen before. There's like a rubber ducky for some reason. There's a few bits and pieces, but they're all sort of all over the shop. So what do you think?
Okay, so like I guess maybe like she's got 2 hands, she'll grab 2 things.
2 things, yeah.
So like I think like the rope seems like an okay option. She's like, yeah, this seems fine, but then she also grabs the rubber duck because
of course,
it's like,
of course,
this seems fine.
Those are 2 things you've got as aspects in the next scene. What about you, Beth? What are you thinking of doing to prepare? I guess you can look in the locker as well if you want to take something.
Beth will have grabbed a bulletproof vest, mostly copying what Trez has already looked at, looked at the life vest and then thought a bulletproof vest is probably a good idea, and then decides not to pick up anything else because she's worried that she could lose it and then she'll get in trouble for not returning all of the inventory to the locker. She's not really sure what they're allowed to take anyway.
Right.
And Beth's character at the moment seems to be quite defined by not wanting to get in trouble later.
No, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to give you a bulletproof vest. I guess one of you rings up sort of Jacques and he's like, well, I suppose we can send Metallica down. There's a few bits of whispering. You see so the lift has gone up to the 6th floor and it comes back down and door opens. What does Metallica look like?
Short and stout.
Short and stout? Okay.
Long hair.
Like all the way down to like the ground, do you think? Or to like, yeah.
Like pretty long enough that she can like
whip it back and forth.
But not so long that it gets in her way, because I feel like she's probably to the point and quite forceful.
Don't think the most socially considerate person. Like, I don't think that Metallica particularly has noticed or cares that Beth and Dredd are very anxious and uncomfortable in the situation. I think Metallica's solely looking at it as, I'm the lucky son of a bitch who managed to get out of
training,
training, and they are going to take as long as they possibly can to deal with this bank problem, so they don't have to come back.
Yeah. So, yeah, Metallica comes down. I say the thing that always strikes you about Metallica, again, even though she is short and a little bit stout, but, you know, the long hair, it's a long silver mane, basically. Ooh. And you say before, like, she's very blunt and to the point, but her whole hair, like, it could, like, stab someone. And she sort of goes, so, you guys need me? It's sort of like a bit of a smirk, yeah. She's, I think, and you probably get that animosity too, because you just do not like the way she is with you. And it's sort of Edith sort of goes, oh, so you must be Metallica, and then it's notes down, and Metallica's like, who the fuck is this? Like, and Edith quickly explains that, oh, I'm here to do the endeavour, blah 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 blah, bureaucrat talk. Metallica does not care, does not give a shit about this person. Is there anything else you want to do before you leave to go to the bank?
No, Kim's just beside herself. She just wants to get the situation like over and done with.
Yeah, Beth similarly believes the sooner it is resolved and they get back to their normal days, the better everything is.
You're no longer on edge anymore, because I think you've sort of calmed down a little bit now.
Yeah.
Because you sort of suddenly got used to, like, okay, so this is now happening, and you've got Beth there as well to sort of, So you get to the bank. What's the first thing you notice about the bank?
Chaos.
Absolute chaos.
I think there are probably like several different doors and sort of passages open, so immediately can just like, oh good god, like who's coming from where, like what will happen if we go down this corridor, what will happen if we go down that corridor, where are people going to come from? Yeah.
And what about you, Lucy? Is there anything that strikes you about this place other than the chaos that's happening?
I think that she's very unimpressed with like their security measures, because like you say, all of the doors are open, every single security door has been unlocked, so she's thinking like, was this bank? I think a tiny part of her brain, which is too stupid to really think about it, is wondering maybe if there was an inside element, because it looks like a little bit too easy, that there's chaos everywhere, but you can't see like any of the robbers have actually been apprehended at all. They've been very successful.
Yes, so there's absolute chaos. There are people running out of the building. It doesn't look like there's any police that's arrived on the scene yet, so that again, maybe you suspect that something's happened, and you know that the bank manager who phoned you, their phone call got cut off halfway. So and having a quick look around, the people that seem to have come out just seem to be civilians. Metallica sort of waits and says, all right, well, what's the plan, guys? I suppose you're in charge of this mission. And Edith's just sort of there in the background, sort of making notes.
She just like, as the dispatcher, she feels like she knows like what they should usually take action with first and foremost, but she's like very overwhelmed with it. I guess she needs to sort of know what the options for her are.
Okay.
She like would like Metallica to take the lead, and it makes most sense for Metallica to like cover off any exits and make sure that we're not letting the robbers escape, and also minimise like civilian casualties. So like herd the civilians onto one side. That would be, I guess, one person's job, and then like Metallica could sort of take the lead in finding and coordinating, like grabbing the bad guys with the superpowers.
So I'd say then I need you to make me a clever roll, and you're not on edge anymore, so it's only going to be a 2 to pass on this.
Oh, I have +2 clever anyway.
Okay, but then so you managed to do that. Even better.
Anyway.
You would pass anyway, it's fine. You'd probably take a moment, because usually when you talk to these superheroes, you're on the comms to them, but now you've got Metallica, who you've only spoken to like maybe once or twice, perhaps, looking directly at you, looking completely unimpressed, and you're like, you need to go cover the exits, do your sort of thing to block them up with the metal, just go around the building, leave only one. And she's like, fine, I can do that. What are you guys going to do then?
Beth's biggest concern right now is that Edith is a complete bureaucratic nobody, and so is not very wants Metallica to deal with the robbers, because she doesn't ever go on these missions, and it's like, you do your bit, and it's like, but nothing can happen to Edith, because she's worried that if a robber manages to get hold of Edith, then they're going to get a terrible report, and it's going to be a complete failure, and she'll get a bollocking for not taking care of the thing. So she's quite being a bit narrow-minded. That's her only concern right now, is that it doesn't go massively wrong. She doesn't care how they go about making it better.
So in that case then, different kinds of actions you can take. So usually there's sort of overcome is what we've been doing just now, so you overcome planning stuff and everything like that. You're probably trying to do is create an advantage. You're trying to create a new situation aspect. So you can create an advantage in where Edith will be safe at some point. I guess you're trying to be clever in respect.
I'm trying to be clever. I don't think I'm doing very well at it.
No, and I as a result of that, I think it's going to be probably be a 4 to pass.
Okay.
So again, you would roll the 4 dice first, plus your clever thing. So you get from the dice you get a +1.
And I'm only +1.
So you got 2. You can spend a fate point, so you've got 3 of them, to have a +2, or you can re-roll your dice.
Well, I will fate point.
Fate point it.
Thank you. I didn't expect it to bleed so much.
So what are you trying to do with Edith? So Edith is happy to just stay back, but is there anything you want particularly to make sure that she is safe, or like is hidden in cover, or?
I want her as distracted as possible, because I think that Beth is very concerned with how Metallica has proceeded already.
Right.
Seems to be quite a blasé, not conforming with, as far as she's aware, they're very the only thing that she knows about how superheroes do things is that there is always a plan and there is always an execution, and she does not like that this apparently professional superhero is asking them what they should. She's like, you should know what she's doing. So just wants to talk to Edith about is trying to distract her, and it's like, so what do you do at the weekend? And Edith is like, but we're at a bank robbery. And again, because Beth isn't very smart, she's just like, happens. Like, her goal is just to distract while the rest of it can be sorted.
Okay, so I'd say then that you managed to sort of just like, so how did you get into the line of work? You know, like sniffing a little bit, like maybe a little bit of snot.
A bit of dribble. Edith doesn't really want to talk to me. I look ill and unhealthy.
Yeah, you look awful. So she's completely like, oh my god. You know, it's sort of that polite niceness about it. So she's currently distracted. Metallica's like, all right, it might take me like a couple of minutes to go do all the windows and stuff, because it's luckily it's only like a first floor bank. It's not like loads on the roof or anything like that. And then what? I just go in, or are you coming with me?
I think now that Dred's here and she feels like she can be our assistant, she does want to come with her.
All right.
And she's quite sneaky, so just takes a little micro step behind Metallica. So she's like she's there, but she's trying to make herself as unseen as possible. Like if they do come across the robbers, maybe assess as she goes along and sees what's happening and like what her options are.
Metallica's quite quick, so she's managed to go and like she does her thing where she does a flip, slides up, like the bars on the window become like fully. It looks flashy and forceful as hell, like. And you're like, very good, very good. Thanks to your distraction, Edith doesn't really see, like, you know, it starts happening and there's a little bit of noise and stuff, but Edith's like sort of, so, yeah, the government's, cutbacks and blah, 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 and budgets, and you're like, yeah. The only entrance that's open now is the main entrance, and so you both sort of go to either side of the door, like, Metallica looking more superhero than you probably go, there's no more people running out. And Metallica's like, okay, on 3, we're going to go in. If anyone I see, I'll just do my thing. I need you to be my lookout. She's kind of realised that she's going to have to take control. Because, again, you maybe suspect that she's more of a support character as well. 3, 2, 1, and into the bank. It looks very generic, sort of like Gotham Bank. So you've got large arches, you've got, like, teller's windows. There's a quick flash, again, using your superhero ability. You can spot there's probably about 3 people just about to open fire on you. What would you like to do? Will our heroes make it out the bank alive? Will the LSB pass the government's routine health and safety inspection? And will the Prime superheroes make it through their sensitivity training? Find out next time on What Am I Rolling? The What Am I Rolling podcast was created, recorded and edited by me, Fiona Howat. This episode's players were Evelyn Goodall and Lucy Edlund. This episode's RPG one-shot was Fate Accelerated, or FAE, by Evil Hat Productions. You can find out more about FAE on the Evil Hat Productions website. That's www.evilhat.com. The theme music was 8-Bit March by Twin Musicon of twinmusicon.org, licensed under a Creative Commons 4.0 license. If you want to find out more about the podcast, check out the website. That's www.wairpodcast.com. Fancy getting in touch? Email the podcast at whatamirollingpodcast@gmail.com. Finally, follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at WAIR_podcast for latest news on upcoming episodes. Remember, adventurers need not apply.